What if the god of religions Christianity, Islam, Hindu, etc. was actually the devil and his greatest success was convincing millions of people that he was the one true God? This is the bad place. Jason figured it out? This one really hurts. Oof. Yeah, this is a low one. Hinduism doesn't really have the concept of the devil. There are evil spirits. But it's considered part of nature. Nor does Hinduism discount other gods. At its core, it believes all of those gods are connected to one universal spirit. But as a philosophy does not care what you call those gods. Braham right? All other gods are his manifestations, correct? Yeah. Braham is the universe. Everything in it. All of us. All the gods. We are merely facets of Braham. It's a tad more complicated than that still. But that's the gist of it. Cool. Thanks for the explanations. I vaguely remember my grandma telling me this when I was younger. I have no special regard for Satan. But I can at least claim that I have no prejudice against him. It may even be that I lean a little his way. On account of his not having a fair show. All religions issue Bibles against him. And say the most injurious things about him. But we never hear his side. We have none but evidence for the prosecution, and yet we have rendered the verdict. To my mind, this is irregular. It is un-English. It is un-American. It is French. Mark Twain. Wonder what does Mark Twain have against the French? He's referring to courts during the French Revolution, which were notorious for executing alleged traitors without proper evidence or trials. This is the claim of Gnosticism. This idea is almost 2,000 years old. Undefined. But this does not preclude God either as a reality. God was the lawgiver. So God gave man laws through revelation, the law of Moses. When the Hebrews fell away from those laws, it wasn't God punishing them. Even though they conceived of it like that. It was the natural consequence of not following God's wisdom as contained in the laws, the 10 Commandments. The entire Old Testament is the cycle of the Hebrews going in and out of accordance with such laws and the consequences that follow. This can be interpreted both theistically or atheistically. The New Testament is not incompatible with this. The idea is that Jesus brought the higher law of compassion, which is God's ideal for man. But which man was not ready for during the Old Testament times. So the idea that it must be two different gods in the Old and New Testaments is not necessarily true. In the Old Testament, God gives man laws. If he does not follow these, he is not punished. He merely suffers the consequences. In the New Testament, God then introduces a new moral framework for man's moral evolution through the example of Jesus and his teaching. This concept is called dispensationalism, where God introduces more teachings to man in each epoch or dispensation. This resolution of the Old and New Testaments is also many centuries old. So everybody who thinks they've had a brilliant idea that the Old and New Testament gods must necessarily be contradictory is centuries behind the curve of theological resolution. Finally, I'm not saying what's real and what's not. I'm merely presenting some background of the idea so people don't jump to conclusions based on simple observations like the difference between the testaments. Op with the 2,000-year-old repost. Peep. Don't say that. You wouldn't want go wait the devil hear you. Or maybe you do? I'm not sure how it works anymore. This idea is found within the Gospel of Judas. There are some pretty interesting YouTube videos on that topic. What? What part? The Gospel of Judah was written in the late 2nd century and claims Judah didn't betray Jesus but followed Jesus' order. Basically, according to the Gospel of Judas, the God who fashioned the world was not the one, but rather the demiurge or Soklas. He only fashioned the material world by stealing the divinity granted to Aeon Sophia by the unknown God. Then, when he created Adam, he inadvertently imbued both him and Eva with the stolen divinity. The Gospel thus portrays the material world and subsequently its creator as evil. while the serpent who convinced Adam and Eve to bite from the tree of knowledge as a liberator. Undefined. It says that Nebro and Soklas each created 6 angels and that Soklas and his angels created Adam and Eve. Not that they were evil. The Gospel doesn't mention the snake. Unless something was missing from the translation I read, which I don't think. That would be the position taken by the Gnostics. The Gnostics were considered so heretical that they were all but wiped out by Roman Christian Empire. Very little remains of what they were like or anything actually. I'm just a Buddhist, so I probably don't belong here. But this enlightening. Best response. Well, the Jewish, Christian, Islamic God is the same God. I got in trouble in Sunday school for making this same point. Hinduism doesn't really fall in with the one-try God, as it is basically contrary in many fronts, mainly being polytheistic, so it's not like every god is bad or even capable of it. Depends on the school of Hinduism you subscribe to. Advaita Vedanta says that there is only one true God, Brahman, and the rest of the gods are manifestations of him. Hinduism isn't exactly one religion. It's more of a collection of philosophical schools. Undefined. Yeah. That's the problem when people look at Hinduism. It's not a singular religion with multiple groups. Rather, a collection of different viewpoints that happen to use the same/similar names/books. Joke's on you. Hindus have 330 million gods and goddesses. One for each American. Isn't the God of Christianity the one sending people into hell and punishing living humans with floods, plagues and more, while the devil only punishes the evil humans that died? Well, the Christian Satan isn't actually responsible for punishing anyone. He is punished alongside everyone. His job is to trick everyone into being evil so God can punish them. Fun fact. In the Bible, Satan is directly responsible for 10 deaths while having a bet with God and so sanctioned by God. Meanwhile, Yahweh knocks off 4 million people without even considering the flood and other big kills. Hey, this is true in Islam too. Satan is a jinn who refused to kneel to Adam when God ordered angels to do so. Satan's mission later on became to trick Adam's descendants into doing bad deeds to go to hell alongside him. Why didn't God stop him, you say? I have no idea. I know that Islam recognized that evil can still lie within regardless of Satan interference. They called the self that calls for bad deeds. Thanks for correcting my mistake. Edited. Jinn instead of angel. The reason is that the Satan believes he is superior and God doesn't. So he wagers that he can manipulate the humans to be evil and God says bring it on. There is a very vivid example of it in Quran. In the Bible and Quran there is a story in which a figure named Job is tested by Satan to see how much he can handle, and in Islam he is an inspiration of patience because of all that Satan put him through. There is no devil in Hinduism. Neither is there one true God as Abrahamic religions understand. In fact, you are free to be atheist if you so wish. Or follow your own understanding of the religion. That is the reason technically the most liberal and most conservative people can have wildly different religions and still be Hindu. What if God was just a group of intelligent people convincing not so intelligent people to do whatever they want? Are you suggesting that the concept of a belief system, based around servitude in an all-powerful entity, could be effectively used by a group of people with power and money as a pacifier for people of lower status, who may not like to accept the hierarchy they have established? Like an opiate of sorts? For the masses? Interesting. Hee hee. With an exclamation marks. This idea is ancient. My understanding of its earliest appearance is in the form of the story of Prometheus. One god who rebelled against the others to bring man knowledge. He was tortured for all eternity for having the temerity to share the power of the gods with lowly humans. It is pretty apparent that a being demanding worship and who swings around their might as book God does and supports theocratic societies and massacres and wars is not good. I pose that any entity who wishes to see humans live their lives, grow, change, evolve, and do what is right for each other. To fight ignorance, and to learn the true shape of the universe is the hero of the story. To see the truth of this, all one has to do is look at the reality of it. If the avatar of evil itself is bent on destroying the world and leading men astray, such an entity would obviously make a play at trucking people into thinking they were in charge and to do what they say. For every truth the Promethean handed down, such an entity would have to be there to corrupt it. In this way, the only truths that couldn't be corrupted in such a way would be those truths that can't be rewritten. Those truths that are so universal that they are, well, baked into the physics and metaphysics of the universe itself. We know how to observe and get at those truths. And the known methodologies to do these things are logic, science, philosophy, and most central to all these things is the one thing that religious forces would decry: doubt. I, personally, do not fear doubt. I welcome it because it is the razor which I use to cut away ignorance from my existence. Leave a like and a comment if you liked the video. Check out more Reddit related video, I am posting them daily. Subscribe to see more Reddit content.